Hey everyone, hope you're all doing great today. Now, judging by the thumbnail, you probably have a good idea of what this video is about. By this point, you've likely seen dozens of videos comparing Wuthering Waves to games like Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero, etc. But this one's going to be a little different. Instead of comparing Wuwa to other gacha games, I'm putting it against a AAA title like Cyberpunk. Why Cyberpunk, you might ask? Well, I've been playing Cyberpunk recently, and I noticed something that really caught my attention. Now imagine this, you're a gamer who just bought a brand new PC, or maybe you're planning to buy one. Naturally, the first thing you do is check how well it performs, right? And what kind of games would you use for that? Titles like Cyberpunk, or any other AAA games known for pushing hardware to its limits. No one in their right mind would use a gacha game like Wuthering Waves to stress test their setup. And even if you were to ask the average person which game demands more from your hardware, Cyberpunk or Wuthering Waves, the answer would be Cyberpunk without hesitation. But what if I told you it's actually the other way around? Sounds crazy, right? Well, instead of just telling you, how about I show you? Alright, so right now I'm standing in the city of Septimont with Sanhua. I picked this spot for a reason. It's one of those areas where frames tend to dip quite a bit. As you can see on the left side of the screen, I've enabled the overlay so you can check out all the details of my specs. And here are my graphic settings. I'm running the game at 1080p, everything cranked up to max. DLSS is set to quality mode, and for now, I've kept ray tracing off. So, let's see how the game handles it. Our goal here is simple. We have to maintain at least 60 FPS. That's the sweet spot for a smooth and stutter-free experience. If it drops below 60, that would be considered unacceptable for this test. So keep your eyes on the FPS counter, and here we go. Well, that's not great. As you can see, the FPS is dropping below 60, even dipping into the 40s, and remember, this is with ray tracing turned off. Alright, let's move on to another intense scenario, like combat. I'm now in an area where we can fight a bunch of enemies, perfect for testing how the game holds up when things get hectic. So while I jump into the fight, you keep an eye on that FPS counter. Okay, so the performance here is slightly better. The FPS sometimes hovers in the 50s, which is an improvement over the city area. And I didn't go all out in the fight because I was trying to keep all the enemies alive. But still, for a fast-paced action game like Wuwa, anything below 60 doesn't feel great. Honestly, I wouldn't want to play like this. Alright, we're back in city again. And this time I'm going to start dialing down the settings to figure out exactly where we can hit a stable 60 FPS. Let's start by changing DLSS from quality to balanced. That should give us a small boost in performance. So let's see how that plays out. And before anyone asks, no, I'm not using frame generation yet. Alright, let's go for another quick flight. Yes, still no real improvement. Even with DLSS set to balanced, the FPS still dips hard, just like before. This time I'm going to skip the combat section because if we can maintain 60 FPS while flying around the city, then we will do even better in combat. Alright, we're back at the same point, and now I'm switching DLSS to performance mode. This mode renders at around 50% of 1080p, so in theory, we should see a decent performance boost. Maybe this will finally let me play at a stable 60 FPS without random drops into the 40s. And sadly, no. Still no improvement. The FPS continues to drop into the 40s, just like before. Honestly, this is getting ridiculous. But alright, let's not waste any more time. I'm going to speed things up. Now I'm changing DLSS to Ultra Performance mode, which basically renders at like 480p. Maybe even less? I'm not even sure anymore. But let's see if this absolute potato mode can deliver some playable frame rates. Wow, still no major improvement. The FPS continues to drop into the 40s, and now the visuals are bad. If you look closely, everything's blurry, and there's some noticeable ghosting around Sanhua. Not surprising, considering we're upscaling from 480p to 1080p. But seriously, even at this ultra-low internal resolution, the fact that the game still struggles to stay at 60 FPS is just wild and unbelievable. Alright, it's time to go all in. I'm going to drop every single setting to the lowest possible, and ray tracing is still off. This is full potato mode, the bare minimum just to see if the game can finally hold a stable 60 FPS. Let's find out. Okay, finally. That was much better. For the first time in this entire test, the FPS didn't drop below 60. Well, I know my PC isn't some high-end beast, but let's be real. With this setup, I shouldn't be struggling to run a gacha game at high settings. And I know what some people might say. Wuthering Waves isn't just a gacha game. It's basically on par with AAA titles when it comes to graphics and presentation. Alright then. If that's the case, let's bring in the big gun. Alright, now we're in Cyberpunk, one of the best-looking AAA games out there. It's a game that's well known for demanding top-tier hardware if you want to run it on max settings. Just like with Wuthering Waves, I'm going to follow the same approach. Start with everything maxed out, and then gradually lower the settings if needed, just to see how long it takes us to reach a stable 60 FPS. As you can see, I'm running Cyberpunk at 1080p, DLSS is set to quality mode, ray tracing is off, and frame generation is also off. All other settings set to maximum. Now, let's see how it holds up. Well, that was surprisingly good. The game held 60 FPS and above the entire time, not a single dip below 60. That's impressive, especially considering how demanding this game is known to be. Now compare that to Wuthering Waves, where I had to drop everything to the lowest potato settings just to have the similar experience. And if you look closely, Cyberpunk tends to consume more graphics memory, or VRAM, which makes sense given how graphically intense the game is. But at the same time, Wuthering Waves actually uses more physical memory, or RAM, than Cyberpunk does. So, does this mean Wuwa is more demanding than Cyberpunk? The answer is absolutely not. It's all about optimization. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. Even though my setup isn't high-end, it should still be able to run Wuthering Waves at high settings without breaking a sweat. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the game is bad or the devs are lazy. In fact, the team behind Wuwa is honestly one of the most hardworking groups I've seen in the industry. Just look at how far the game has come since version 1.0. It's a massive leap. Even today, almost every time you log in, there's a good chance you'll see hotfixes being applied. They're clearly working hard behind the scenes, and I do have hope. I believe they'll get the optimization done right in the near future. Well, that's about it for this video. What do you guys think? Is your PC strong enough to handle Wuwa at max settings? Let me know your experience in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear how it's been running for you. Also, let me know if you'd like to see a full ray tracing performance comparison between the two games, though I already know who's going to win that one. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate you sticking around till the end. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.